Jashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai. Right. Start with prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devam sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashtu padrishu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we are reading from Canto 7, Chapter 15, titled Instructions for Civilized Human Beings, and we will be reading texts 12 to 21, I believe. Yes. Okay. We can read it all together, and just follow me. Follow my pace. Okay, so text 12. There are 5 branches of irreligion, appropriately known as irreligion, Vidharma, religious principles for which one is unfit, paradharma, pretentious religion, abhasa, analogical religion, upadharma, and cheating religion, chaladharma. One who is aware of real religious life must abandon these 5 as irreligious. Religious principles that obstruct one from following his own religion are called vidharma. Religious principles introduced by others are called paradharma. A new type of religion created by one who is falsely proud and who opposes the principles of the Vedas is called upadharma. An interpretation by one's jugglery of words is called chaladharma. A pretentious religious system manufactured by one who willfully neglects the prescribed duties of his order of life is called abhasa, a dim reflection or false similarity. But if one performs the prescribed duties for his particular ashram or varna, why are they not sufficient to mitigate all material distresses? Even if a man is poor, he should not endeavor to improve his economic condition just to maintain his body and soul together or to become a famous religionist. Just as a great python, although lying in one place, not endeavoring for its livelihood, gets the food it needs to maintain body and soul, one who is desireless also obtains his livelihood without endeavor. One who is content and satisfied, and who links his activities with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, residing in everyone's heart, enjoys transcendental happiness without endeavoring for his livelihood. Where is such happiness for a materialistic man who is impelled by lust and greed, and who therefore wanders in all directions with a desire to accumulate wealth? For a person who has suitable shoes on his feet, there is no danger even when he walks on pebbles and thorns. For him, everything is auspicious. Similarly, for one who is always self-satisfied, there is no distress. Indeed, he feels happiness everywhere. My dear king, a self-satisfied person can be happy even with only drinking water. However, one who is driven by the senses, especially by the tongue and genitals, must accept the position of a household dog to satisfy his senses. Because of greed for the sake of the senses, the spiritual strength, education, austerity, and reputation of a devotee or brahmana who is not self-satisfied dwindle, and his knowledge gradually vanishes. The strong bodily desires and needs of a person, distributed by hunger and thirst, are certainly satisfied when he eats. Similarly, if one becomes very angry, that anger is satisfied by chastisement and its reaction. But as for greed, even if an angry person has conquered all the directions of the world or has enjoyed everything in the world, still he will not be satisfied. O King Yudhishthir, many persons with varied experience, many legal advisors, many learned scholars, and many persons eligible to become presidents of learned assemblies fall down into hellish life because of not being satisfied with their positions. Okay, and then text 13. Okay. Dharma bhado vidharma syat. Para dharmonya chodita. Upadharmastu pakando. Dambo va shabda bichitaha. Dharma bhado vidharma syat. Para dharmonya choditaha. Upadharmastu pakando. Dambo va sabda bichalaha. Dharmo bando vidharma syat. Para dharmonya choditaha. Upadharmastu pakando. Dambo va shabda bichalaha. Okay.
Dharma bhado vidharma syat.
Vidharma syat.
Paradharmonya choditaha.
Paradharmonya choditaha. Upadharmastu pakando. Upadharmastu pakando.
Dambo va sabda vichalaha.
Dambo va shabda
choditaha.
Upadharmastu pakando.
Upadharmastu pakando. Dambhava shabda vichalaha.
Dharmabado vidharmashet.
Dharmavada vidharmasyat.
Paradharmonya choditaha.
Paradharmonya choditaha.
Upadharmastu pakando.
Upadharmastu pakando.
Dambhava sabda vichala.
Dambhava shabda vichalaha.
Dharmabado vidharmasya.
Dharmavada vidharmasyat.
Paradharmonya chodita.
Paradharmonya choditaha.
Upadharmastu pakando.
Upadharmastu
Pakando.
Dambhava sabda vichala.
Dambhava shabda vichalaha. Okay, word for word. Repeat after me. Dharma badaha obstructs the execution of one's own religious principles. Vidharma against the principles of religion. Syat should be. Paradharmaha imitating religious systems for which one is unfit. Anya choditaha, which is introduced by someone else. Upadharmaha, concocted religious principles. Two, indeed. Pakanda, by one who is against the principles of Vedas. Standard scriptures. Dambaha, who is falsely proud. Va, or. Shabda, bit. Shabdavit, by word jugglery. Chalaha, a cheating religious system. Okay. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Okay, so translation. Religious principles that obstruct one from following his own religion are called vidharma. Religious principles introduced by others are called paradharma. A new type of religion created by one who is falsely proud and who opposes the principles of the Vedas is called upadharma. An interpretation by one's jugglery of words is called chaladharma. Purport. To create a new type of dharma has become fashionable in this age. So-called swamis and yogis support that one may follow any type of religious system according to one's own choice, because all systems are ultimately the same. In Srimad Bhagavatam, however, such fashionable ideas are called vidharma because they go against one's own religious system. The real religious system is described by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sarva Dharman Parityagya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. The real religious system is that of surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord. In the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in connection with Ajamil's deliverance, Yamaraj says, Dharmam tu sakshad bhagavat pranitam. Real religion is that which is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as real law is that which is given by the government. No one can manufacture actual law at home, nor can one manufacture actual religion. Elsewhere, it is said, Svavai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adochaje. The real religious system is that which leads one to become a devotee of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, anything opposed to this religious system of progressive Krishna consciousness is called vidharma, paradharma, upadharma, or chaladharma. Misinterpretation of Bhagavad Gita is chaladharma. When Krishna directly says something and some rascal interprets it to mean something different, this is chaladharma. A religious system of cheating, or shabda bhit, is a jugglery of words. One should be extremely careful to avoid these various types of cheating systems of religion. Okay. So one point I took from these series of texts is dharma, and it's spoken about a lot throughout this. So I guess my first question for everyone is, what is dharma? Antriksh?
Something that connects to yourself
or to Supreme Lord, that gives you purpose of your life.
Yes.
Purpose?
Your responsibility and duty.
Yes.
The nature of something.
Yeah, it was the same.
Same. Rohan?
Religion.
Religion. Okay. So what I wrote was Dharma is our intrinsic nature or our constitutional occupation, which, does anyone know what that is? Our our constitutional occupation? Yes, devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Okay. And then, does anyone know what false Dharma is?
False dharma. Everything other than that is false dharma.
Yes. So it's false dharma is what keeps you from doing your real dharma. So it's like what people are doing in the material world. They're working, they're like going to school and studying. Not that that's bad or anything, but it keeps people away from Krishna because they think, this is what life is about. It's about working 9 to 5 or 12 hours a day and, making money to get that fancy car that you're going to use to pay off the debts of paying for that car. And yeah. So, and it also makes like Krishna consciousness secondary because, your priority is like, oh, it's family or it's school or it's work. And then you end up pushing aside Krishna. And that's not the real goal of life. Okay. And then real religion is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, yes, I didn't elaborate on that. So when we surrender to him, to Krishna, then he gives us our dharma. So by rendering devotional service and by chanting and by reading shastras and all of that, then slowly over time, Krishna will show us like what it is, whether it's like, being in the kitchen or like doing kirtan, like being like a leader and all of that, things like that. Krishna shows us that's what our dharma is. Okay. And another question is, what is the importance of dharma? Like, why do we need to do this?
I have a question before that.
Okay.
During devotional service that we see generally, you jump on, that's okay, but doing your job is also your dharma. Like Arjuna was also in the battlefield, he wasn't chanting, he wasn't doing kirtan, he was doing his part. That was also dharma.
Yes. I think as long as we keep Krishna in the focus, then it should be fine. Like, if we're working, we should like work for Krishna, like keep him in mind when we're working, and I don't know, like the goal should still be Krishna. Like we shouldn't push him aside, if that makes sense. Yes. Okay. And then, did anyone figure out what the importance of dharma is?
Means when we know which direction to go, when we know our path, life becomes easier. There are less distractions when our destination is clear.
Yes. Maharaj.
But it keeps you in line, keeps you in order, and if you follow your dharma, then you won't have karma.
Anything which comes in the way of dharma and we speak about nonsense is equal to the nonsense, whatever is coming in between.
Okay. Oh no?
Yeah, it's the thing, like it gives meaning to your life. You have something to live for. Without dharma, you won't be doing anything.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And, okay, so people today do not care about dharma so much, or so they think they do, because people these days, they don't want to believe in God. They're atheists. They think that they themselves are God. So it's like, if I think I'm God, then what's the point of having to do or having dharma, like things like that. So they live their lives without the association of God, and this is called secularism. Yeah. So being separated from God or religion. And how do we know when we found our dharma? It's a question. How do you know when you found your dharma?
We feel a sense of satisfaction.
Yes.
When the soul finds some rest.
Yeah. So when we feel happy and satisfied. And an example is is eating. When you are hungry, you eat until you feel satisfied and full. You don't want to go more than that. And Dharma is the same. So when we feel satisfied with our devotional service, that is when we will know that we have found our Dharma. And everyone is looking for Dharma, whether they believe in God or not. Because ultimately, everyone wants to be happy. And yes, so we should ask ourselves, how do we live a life that fits me? How do I live a life that will make me realize who I am? Yes, anyone want to give an answer or reflection to that? How do I live a life that fits me?
I have a question, how do we find the life that fits us? How do we know?
Maybe a devotee comes in your life and they tell you what you need to go.
I mean, that's the other thing, but how do you really know that, okay, this is the right, I'm doing the right thing. You might be doing the wrong thing, you might be not doing the best that you could do.
Still didn't get your question.
You can always have somebody to consult with.
Yeah, a mentor, spiritual master. Anyone else?
Feel the feedback in your heart.
Okay. Right. So when we identify with the body, we become confused. We see that a lot these days, oh, I'm Canadian, I'm Indian, I'm Latina, I'm a man, I'm a woman. So we get confused and we think we are these bodies. But what's the first thing we learn in Krishna consciousness?
We are not this body.
Yeah, we are the soul. So we need to just not forget that. And when we are identifying with a body, we get the wrong idea of who we truly are. Yeah. And when we realize our true identity, then we may ask ourselves, what is our true nature? So first we need to figure out who we are, which is the soul, and then we may figure out what is our nature, our dharma. So yes. So when we identify with the body, we ask for directions or instructions from our parents, school, government, etc. But when we identify with the soul, we ask for directions from God, from Krishna, because only Krishna can really tell us how to be happy. Yeah. So no matter what you think you are, Dharma involves surrendering, again, to our parents, to school, to the government, or you can surrender to your spiritual master or to Krishna. Yeah. How do we know we found real Dharma? I guess we already said that, when we feel happy and satisfied, doing whatever service is meant for us. Okay. And what are the symptoms of being in a real religious system? Can anyone give examples? Being in a real religious system.
You're content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, content.
It's according to the scriptures.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. When we see someone following the instructions in the scriptures and succeeding at it, then we know it works. It's the real thing. Yeah.
I think he has a question.
Oh, yes.
You mentioned that you're on a right path or something when you feel like you're doing your dharma, when you feel happy from inside. But there are two types of happiness, again, Jadananda and then actual Ananda. I wasn't the right word for that. But yeah, so how do we differentiate? Because let's say there's a drug addict. When he's doing drugs, he's feeling happy, he's like, okay, I'm not stressed at all at this time and stuff. So how do we differentiate between both happiness?
I think the super soul inside, sometimes whenever we do something right or wrong, we get this signal from inside also. So for example, I'm going to a drugstore, but inside I will tell yeah, this is wrong. But still I will make me yeah, I can do it, it's okay. When we get the signal from inside also, what is right and what is wrong.
What was the question? When we do drugs, we don't feel, we feel like everything is right.
Then how do you distinguish between material and spiritual happiness?
It's temporary. The material is so temporary. As soon as you are done with this, you regret. The Paramatma in our heart is permanent. He loves something permanent. And senses are temporary. Body itself is temporary. When we satisfy it, it brings us more regret, and then later on we just, regretting those things. Whereas devotional services, even if we serve prasadam, the happiness that we feel, it just remains with us. Whenever we remember those values, it gives us bliss.
So, in the material world, whatever the things that you are thinking as a happiness, that is actually not happiness. For example, like the kiss that you are getting, initially you are feeling that you are getting happiness, but at the end, like it's similar. And as well as your body, each and everything, like you are able to eat now, satisfy your senses, but eventually you cannot eat anything. Your body system cannot digest, you cannot see. Whatever you are thinking is happiness right now, eventually it will turn as a misery from your body and everything. So that's how you will understand it's a temporary happiness.
Okay. Does anyone else have an example of what a symptom of being in a real religious system is? Oh, yes.
Well, you make progress toward the result of religion, which is to know God and love Him.
Yes. Yes. And another point I wrote was that all of this is coming from God. And how do we know it comes from God? From the parampara. Yes. Disciplic succession. It's like, I learned this from someone who learned it 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 from God. So that's how we know. Yeah. And like a direct experience. So like, how do you know when you found your Dharma? You feel blissful and satisfied. Otherwise, why would you still be in this movement if you see everyone is unhappy or you are unhappy? So experiencing that devotional service and feeling bliss from it is it. Yes, and like pure love of God. So when we are falling in love with God, our goal should be to know Him and to love Him. And like you said, that is what religion is, to know and to love God. Okay. Another point is like we see good qualities developing in ourselves. And I quoted the third verse of Shikshastakam. Chinararapi sunichina tarorapi sahishuna amanina numanadena kirtaniya sada hari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. Of false prestige, no. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Okay. And that's kind of all I have. Can open up for discussion or questions.
So you said that when we find a true religion, we feel satisfied and blissful. But like when you start devotional service, it's not that instantly you feel satisfied and you start feeling that bliss. So it's a process, right? And it says that process works, but how do we keep ourselves going until that process actually starts working and you start getting some tangible results?
I mean, I would say like also like the association of others, like seeing other people who maybe are like a little more advanced or like our mentors, and seeing just like how happy and successful they are, and you kind of wanna be like that. So that can be like a motivation to like keep you wanting to do devotional service. Yeah. Okay.
I'm thinking it's other way too. For example, like initially you will get some bliss, and like that bliss will help you to continue through this process. Like how this happened to Narada, how this happened to Dhruv Maharaj. So like God gave that little bliss to encourage you to keep in that particular moment for a long time, and like that will help you to continue more and more and more. You will look for that this again and again and again. Isn't it?
Maharaj.
That's called the ruchi, taste.
Hmm.
Once you get a taste, you just want more. Just like hanker to have it again and again and again.
Hmm.
It gets addictive after a while.
But it's a good addiction.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, like in the discussions of Dharma, sometimes it gets confusing because there are levels of Dharma. And we discussed this in previous days, I think. So there's, of course, the ultimate Dharma that you're speaking of, Bhagavat Dharma, or Krishna consciousness. And then there are dharmas pertaining to the body and our position in society. As Prabhu said, Arjuna was a Kshatriya, so he has his dharma accordingly. And so those have different degrees of importance. Obviously, Krishna consciousness, Bhagavat Dharma is most important. So it's prioritized over all others. And that's why Krishna says, Sarva Dharma Parityajya, give up all these lower dharmas, focus on this Krishna consciousness. So sometimes in the discussion of Dharma, if we don't clarify, what level we're speaking of, it gets a little bewildering. And, that's really the theme of Mahabharata, for example, like reconciling different dharmas at different times. It's sometimes hard to understand what to do. Because sometimes a dharma of a higher level will contradict and, supersede a lower one. I just wanted to make that point that there are levels to dharma, and so when we're speaking of it, then it's important to distinguish, which realm we're speaking of. I think makes the discussion a little easier.
Yeah, I'd like to add that in the beginning of the Gita, Krishna's encouraging Arjuna to do his dharma, like the physical dharma, and as a Kshatriya, with the man of passion. And then later on he says, just give it up, don't, you're not a Kshatriya. He says, you're a Kshatriya. Then later on he says, changes his mind, you're not a Kshatriya.
Well, you're a soul in a Kshatriya body, so
That's the thing, yeah.
do the Kshatriya dharma for Krishna.
And dharma also is one interesting word we can apply. It's organic. It's the most organic thing in an individual. And getting to the essence, that's another word as to what dharma really means. And when it comes to the dharma on the physical level, that's established by the Lord himself. In Gita chapter 4, he says, what's your nature and what's your behavior? Called guna and karma. But the soul sheds that at some point, that guna and karma. Like a snake, it slithers around, just moves out of its skin, So when you surrender, it's basically moving out of the skin of your physical obligations, and you become fully surrendered. Yeah, so it's important. When we talk about dharma, it's a very broad topic, so it's good. So when we talk about it, it's good to distinguish as to what it is. Guna karma vibhagashana. Yeah, you got it there. Okay. This is a good verse for everyone to learn. Chatur varnya. Chatur means four. Varnas, that means vocations. And yeah. And yeah, that's the one. It's Krishna's created this structure. It's a system. He's basically created the four different kinds of people, and they complement each other so that they can form a community. It's like a wholesome, full community. Everyone's got something to do. Everyone's occupied in something. Either as a Brahmin, which is like a visionary, or a Kshatriya, which means a people mover, and the Vaishya is somebody who deals with finance. This is maybe the stomach, that's one way to look at it. This is a smaller king, A Kshatriya is like a king, and a Vaishya is like a smaller king, and then a Shudra is like a much smaller king. And but everyone has to karma, engage in work for the goal. And what is the goal? Some city or Haritoshna. It's to please God, make God happy. If we could all focus like that, if the whole world could be like that, that'd be great. And of course, everyone's got a different. Is it going to be which God? You know, well, it's all one God basically. And I can real demonstration of serving godly. Just be nice to each other. Don't kill somebody because they believe in something different, which is the case with some communities. Won't mention names. Hare Krishna. Krishna's really pleased when we're kind to each other. We show good etiquette and just be respectful, accept, give space, those kind of things. And when we analyze religion, my understanding comes from Latin, means to follow. So what are we following in this system? We're following your nature, your guna and your karma. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Rohan?
So here it is mentioned that there are so many dharmas like Vidharma, Paradharma, Chaladharma. But there are some like religions which are like based on one dharma. For example, there is one dharma, and on there are some branches of this dharma. So they are called like Vidharma, Paradharma.
I mean, these ones are all irreligion, so it's things that are like the opposite. Yeah, the dharma.
Sorry. Was that the question you was asking?
Was it a question?
I was asking that like there are so many dharmas. So there is one dharma which is the big dharma, and there are like branches of the dharma. So these dharma are called dharma only or just other dharma?
These ones?
No, I'm just talking like, for example, there is one Hindu religion, and there are so many branches of that religion. So it based on that one only, but they are following some different things. So this is called dharma.
Prabhupada said the only religion is surrender to Krishna. The only religion is Sanatana Dharma. Well, Prabhupada had a discussion with the devotees in Australia, and I think it was Charu. Everybody knows Charu? He was here in the summit, and they were having a discussion at the Botanical Gardens about the Sikhism. He brought up Sikhism, Charu did. And Prabhupada said the only religion is surrender, basically. Surrender to God. Give up all your identities, give up all your, whatever, identity that you have, and just submit to the Lord. Give it all. Let go, let God. Okay.
Yes.
And then it might be interesting, there's these 5 types of irreligion. And for me, it's a little vague, but that might be interesting if we could try and come up with some examples, maybe, of what it would look like.
Okay.
Like, for example, we have Vidharma, says, basically, I think in the next verse it said, obstructing your real dharma. So I would think of that like, if we were following the opposite of the 4 regulative principles, for example, engaging in those activities, I would see that as Vidharma.
And religious principles for which one is unfit, Paradharma. I wrote that down.
I would think, if I could give my opinion, like Krishna says, it's better to do your own duties than to do those of someone else. I would think in that case, this would be speaking of Paradharma, like, say in the material world, someone who's not a devotee, they're engaged in Varna ashram. So like a Vaishya trying to perform the duties of a Brahmin.
Or like someone who's like a Grihastra, they just entered that, but then all of a sudden they want to like renounce everything when they have like
Arjuna,
yeah.
right? Arjun wanted to follow basically Vanaprastha Dharma, even though he was, so yeah, he was talking about Paradharma, I think, in that case, right?
Okay, and like pretentious religion, abasa.
Abbas means
Abbas.
like a semblance, right? So it could be identical to your actual Dharma, but
But it's not.
so
Oh, yes.
So does the dharma, does that also constitute like not following the religion that you were born into? Or is it completely opposite?
What was the question?
For Vidharma, it says religious principles that obstruct one from following his own religion. So does that count as like the religion that you were born into? Or is that not?
I would say not necessarily. Where is it defined?
at the very top of
At the
13.
top.
Religious principles that obstruct one from following his own religion are called vidharma.
That's very interesting.
I think your own religion is the one you choose to. What's yours now?
Well, one thing, sorry.
Good, go ahead. Yeah.
One thing I remember reading Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was saying that, we have no problem with other religions because they're there for people of different levels of consciousness, so we don't unnecessarily criticize other religious systems, but he said that when there are principles in those religions that we know are sinful, such as meat eating, for example, then we have a problem with that because those are preventing people from the actual path of Dharma. So I think in that case, like for example, if you were following a religion that is kind of obliging you to eat meat or something like this, that would be an example.
We can get a lot of enlightenment from chapter 17 from Bhagavad Gita, which is entitled as Divisions of Faith. So there are different religions that are influenced by some Tamagun. Some religions are influenced by Rajagun, very much like viewing God like on a business level. And then there are some that are more sattvic by nature. I just find that chapter 17 is very helpful to understand where people are placed, people that follow different faiths. There's no doubt that some people who are, they call themselves religious, but they do have these sort of habits like, eating animals and koshering them, or whatever you want to, halaling them, and say it's all okay now because we're blessed in. So I think everybody should have a look at chapter 17 and understand a little bit more what we're talking about here in terms of Dharma. And Dharma is, again, it's a word that gets thrown around kind of loosely. Is it really religion? Oftentimes Prabhupada refers to it as duty, but duty on which level? On the transcendental level? Or is it on the physical level? Just according to the Varnashram. But ultimately, the real Dharma is just surrender, just let go, let God take control of your life.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Maharaj, in the purport to verse 13, Srila Prabhupada says the exact same thing. He's saying that real religion is Sarvatavan Paritvaja, surrender to Krishna.
Yeah.
And anything that takes away from that is called
Real religion is give up religion, basically. Like give up the institution, whatever vows are there, it's got to be more, it's about love, it's not about rules and regulations so much. Like if somebody asks you, so what's Krishna consciousness all about? And if you answer like this, because I've heard this kind of thing from devotees, Krishna consciousness is about not eating meat, not gambling, having no illicit sex life, which nobody understands that one, and no gambling. And so that's not really the answer.
No.
The answer is to love
love
God, to love the Creator, to love the energetic, the one who put it all together. It's got to be about love. It can't be about rules and regulations. Once it's just all about rules and principles and people struggling to follow the principles, it just simply means that they haven't come to a transcendental level just yet.
I have a quick question. Maharaj, Is it possible for someone to break all the four rights and still love Krishna?
And so, it is possible to love Krishna and break some of the rules, yeah.
It's possible.
Oh, you know, you can still love him, but it is for kanishta, it's very kanishta-like, meaning that you say, I'm loving God, but I don't love all of his creatures. You know, it's a very low level of love, right? Just like when people say, I love you, but they don't really show it, they just like talk, right? So,
But I would like to add, if I'm wrong, please let me know. So there are few incidents where Prabhupada, like when someone asks, why don't we follow Christianity? Like why don't we serve Lord Shiva? And Prabhupada is clearly said that if you fully surrender unto him without any desire, without any sense gratification, I need this, it's not like that. If you fully surrender, then you can do it. Eventually it will bring you to ultimate love, and eventually you will come to Krishna consciousness. That's surrender. Okay, you can follow your own religion, but if you fully surrender, it's automatically take you to Krishna consciousness. That's what the Prabhupada mentioned some places.
Krishna's, you see, without devotees, we couldn't be on the stage where Anya Vilashita Shunyam. It needs the support of pure devotee and association. So how would you get to?
What?
How would you be on the stage of where there's no material desire other than some
That's why if you see any other religion like Christianity or like Lord Shiva is called like he will give any desires that you want. That is the reason there is no chance if you don't have that kind of association, you will get that kind of. In Krishna consciousness, here only they teach that without any expecting, just with the pure heart you are loving Krishna. If you see Christianity, they say like you do all the sins, but like in the weekend when you confess that, like that will be okay, and again you can repeat. In other practices, there is nothing where like you completely surrender to God. It's very difficult without association. It's only happen in Krishna consciousness.
I think there's a wonderful class by His Grace Amogila Prabhuji on the same topic. So there he's talking about there are two types of mercy which God provides. There's Sachal Kripa and Nirchal Kripa. Which Sachal means there's some sort of thing he's taking. Let's say you're going to Lord Shiva and you're asking for this thing, or that thing. Hey, I want this really big house. With that Mataji over there, I really like her, and I get married. Then he'll give you that thing. And then, okay. And then there's Nirchal Kripa, where there's just pure devotion, and what he gives, because Lord Shiva, he gives the best thing he has for his devotee now. And the best thing, his favorite thing is Krishna himself. So he gives him Krishna Prema, he gives direct his followers towards Krishna. It's mentioned, I think, in Skanda Purana. I can share that class with you guys and my husbands.
you know, Prabhupada once said, we follow Jesus. We do. Like if you look at when Prabhupada would speak about Jesus, he oftentimes referred to the Old Testament.
Yeah.
But Jesus was a New Testament man, actually. You know? And what's in the Old Testament is the 10 Commandments. Don't steal, don't cheat, don't kill, don't cheat on your wife, all those kind of things. And so we're supposed to be doing those things. So if you follow Jesus, and we are Jesus followers. We like the guy. He's kind of a cool dude. He's got good values, you know. And Prabhupada did talk about that one particular gospel, Aquarian gospel, which talks about Jesus going to India, going to meet with the Pandas and the priests in Jagannath Puri. Something didn't go right there, it didn't work well there, but anyways, we like Jesus, and Jesus is nice, and so Jesus decided to come to the Western world because I guess we're nice to him, nice to Jagannath, nice to Jesus.
In some places, Maharaj Prabhupada said, we're better Christians than you. We're following Jesus better. Because
I joined the movement because I was looking for real Christians.
Yeah.
And when I met the devotees, I thought, well, here they are. They're the best people. Everyone else is doing the wrong things.
I think Jesus might be one of the most misunderstood people in the world.
Yes.
And so many things go on under the name of Christianity.
Yeah.
But Jesus came, he was a Jew, actually. There was nothing, he didn't start any new religion. But he came to teach that we should focus on the essence, love of God, not so much on the ritual, which was happening at the time. The Jewish community was very ritualistic, dogmatic.
The rabbis.
And he came to teach that we should focus on the essence, love of God.
Yeah.
And this was his teaching, actually.
It's not so much about the Ten Commandments, it's more about love the Lord with all their heart and all their mind and all their soul. You know, like chapter 18, text 65, basically, if you look at that, was the essence. And you know, love your neighbor as much as yourself. That sort of captures, in essence, what his teachings were about.
And we understand that he was a devotee of God.
Yeah, yeah. And he was teaching people to love the Heavenly Father. Well, that's what it's all about, right? You know, there's a lot of confusion amongst the people that the Trinity principle is Jesus God. Some people, you get mixed answers from the Christian. Is he God or is he not God? We say he's a devotee of God. Shakya Shanatara is not a term.
I like what you guys brought, this inclusiveness, because from my experience, if I talk about a year ago, I had a period of time, I met a few people on the streets who were really trying to prove me that their religion is right and good, and I was thinking, like, it's different.
Yeah.
And I analyzed why it happened. I discovered, I allowed myself to have a thought that where I am, ISKCON is the true and only one method to elevate, to get to the point. I thought that's the only true one. And that's why I was fanatical. I met the same fanatical people. And after I changed my mindset, I allowed every religion to be the same good and same equal and nice to attain love of God. It changed my mindset, it changed the people I meet. People I met, they were also respectful to me and interested to learn about ISKCON. And
Yeah, I want to reiterate, look at chapter 17. It makes things really clear. It's about the three modes of material nature. If you look at the three modes of material nature, everything gets very clear. Yeah, it's like things get qualified through these modes when you study them. It's not a question of, let's say, with this institution or that institution, it's more by, how you lead your life. But thank you very much. I'm glad you made so much progress. Hallelujah.
Okay.
Good.
Mangalananda.
Just want to say it's important for us to see religion as a spectrum, and that the different religious systems are arranged by the Lord according to people of different levels of consciousness, according to time, place, and circumstance. And it's progressive to help people come in some way according to what they need at that time, closer to God. So if we see all the religions of the world in this way, then we'll never have these kind of issues like you said, and we'll be inclusive towards everyone because we understand that whatever they need now, Krishna is providing. If they're ready for Krishna consciousness, then they will accept it. Otherwise, if they're following some religious system, then we respect that, because ultimately they're worshipping the same God, but in a different flavor, right? In a different way, according to their own needs at that time. So Srila Prabhupada explained like the different shastras, the different scriptures of the world are like abridged and unabridged dictionaries, You have the dictionary which is used in elementary school, you have one used in high school, and in university level it's much more detailed. So the Vedas are the most detailed scriptures. The Prabhupada said, the God's name, address, his parents' names, you know, and what do you need? You know, email address. Yeah. You can know God completely.
I completely agree. Sorry, Taka. What I meant, what I tried to say is I allowed myself to see my taste, my flavor higher than others, which is completely egoistic thing to compare others' flavors.
So even Vyasadeva, he put the Vedas together and he aligned them in such a way that people of the different varnas could be accommodated. But then it wasn't enough. And his guru Narada Muni said, you have to take it a level higher. And so then the Bhagavatam, which is really all about transcendence. You know, what is the second verse? Dharma projita trevo paramo nirmat saranam satam. This particular text kicks out all material motivated religions. So there's such a thing as higher and lower. But you know, they say something about it's a tyranny. There's a tyranny about either or. You know, and why can't it be inclusive? As you know, some of you are saying, some levels are that's all people can take, but it's a level, and hopefully they'll get to the next level. You know, you understand what we're saying? And Chintamita Veda Tattva can be applied here once again. You know, yes, everyone's who's going to God, it's okay, but some people are just a little more progressed than others. That's all.
You remember, Mashi, you mentioned Charu Prabhu. You remember when we were in Utah and it's like at the temple, so many Mormons were coming to the temple because Utah's the Mormon headquarters. And there were devotees, and they were still Mormons. They were like, I was talking to them, they're wearing tilak, dhoti, everything, chanting japa. And we get talking, and they're like, yeah, no, I'm still a Mormon. But I'm also a devotee. I chant Hare Krishna.
So I initiated one of those devotees.
It transcends. Mormon. It's a type of
Latter-day Saints.
kind of Christian movement.
Yeah. They're very biased. They like us very much. You'll see they have like a white shirt and a tie, and you know, the guys are like that too. Well, mission for 2 years. They're like brahmacharis.
Prabhupada said that you could be a Christian or a Muslim or anything and still practice Krishna consciousness. And then I realized that there, I never didn't understand how that would work, but I saw it there. It's going on.
Yeah, I was raised Catholic. I'm still Catholic. My parents love them.
It transcends the lower religions. Yeah.
I heard a devotee say that after reading the Bhagavad Gita, it helped them become better Christians. Or I heard a devotee say
That's
that.
right.
We are passing.
Yes, we're done.
Yeah, that's right. You can tell me.
This is
but
our
you can tell
pastime.
everybody. We can continue to chat.
Yeah.
While eating.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.